Hello and welcome back to the Keepin It Pinned podcast. I am Keegan.
I'm Owen.
And I'm Jamie. That was silky smooth as always.
It was silky, yeah. I was staring into space there. I wasn't really ready to go, but I'm ready now. I'm here.
Good,
I'm here.
you sorted.
I'm good. Let's go.
We're in the room.
Yeah, let's have it.
All right, lovely stuff. So last week we chatted a little bit about you, Keegs, and obviously it was your first time on the pod.
Yep.
We said about what it was like passing your test. Obviously you're fairly new to, or not new to bikes, but you're new to being back on bikes, new to big bikes. We have had a bit of feedback from listeners, and I think people want to hear a little bit more about us for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. So
No, I don't know why.
we're doing this podcast from the point of view of just three enthusiasts, I suppose, and none of us are professionals at anything motorbike related. I'm
Anything.
not anything. No,
Stop.
fair enough. So yeah, Owen, do you want to say a little bit about what you do for work? How it's sort of, whether there's any links to your work and bikes, how it's led you here. You got anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I picked up, I think we spoke about it a little bit last time or in a previous episode, but yeah, just, picked up bikes through the way I did through Ryan, and previously worked in IT, and quit my job effectively to go travelling, and had 8 months away travelling in South America, which was, an unreal trip. And when I got back, I sort of was, whilst I was away, I was thinking about what I wanted to do a little bit more with my life next. And I thought, let's try and get into motorsport. Let's try and give it a go. It's a very difficult industry to get into, and it's very sought after. But it's about who you know in that industry. And I put a post out on, the way I got into it was pretty unheard of, really. I put a post out on Facebook and explained that I wanted to get into the industry. I don't have experience in it, but I've just got a keen interest. I've always loved motorsport as a fan, and thought, what I'm doing with the bike regularly is pulling it apart and servicing it and keeping it in good condition. I've got all the tools, I've got a bit of the knowledge. Let's see if we can transfer this into work. And so it was a little bit unheard of, really, but I ended up in my first year of motorsport working on an Aston GT4, which was
an unreal way of getting into it.
Absolutely
Talk about
unreal.
being thrown into the deep end.
There's
I
a
was
lot.
just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people in the industry work up when they go to college, and they start out in the junior classes on the Fiestas and stuff like that, and and work themselves up with the hopes to get into GTs at some point. But that was my first year, was British GT and GT Cup, working on a fleet of Astons. So yeah,
Was
awesome.
that would you say a quite daunting experience from you, being in a new industry as such, leaving obviously your job, going travelling, not knowing what you wanted to do? Was that all quite a daunting experience?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It was one of those where you're sort of like, this could go either way. It was a bit of a life risk,
Sort of make or break kind of thing.
Yeah, a
it'll
little
either
bit.
work or it won't.
Yeah, I'd say so. And quitting the job was obviously a risk from that point of view, and I think what I did was, my mindset was just sort of try and make the most of the skills you've got. So even if I'm not, let's try something new. And so no, it was definitely daunting, and being thrown in at the deep end as well like that was for sure. But the team I was with, really good, and as long as you turn up with the right attitude, and a lot of motorsport is all about your reputation and putting in hard work, being prepared to put in the hard work, because it is long hours. Showing up with the right attitude, and just a willingness to learn, and a lot of it I learned on the job. So I'm not qualified as a mechanic, but you don't have to be to work in the industry. You really,
I suppose it very much becomes like any job. Like, you have your set list of things that you're in control of, you're in charge of. Obviously, you've got to have a mechanical mind, and you've got to have a basic understanding, of course, to be able to do these sort of things. But you will have, like, okay, well, your job, obviously I don't know the details of it, it's you, but your job is today you're going to be changing tires, you're going to be sorting out brakes, you're going to be doing this, that, the other, and you'll have a list of things that you need to do. And once you learn those things, that's perhaps, is this right, that's your basics of what you're doing at work? That's sort of like your bread and butter through work, and then from there it'll be, oh, actually now you're going to be setting up suspension, or you're going to be keeping an eye on this or that, or is that how that goes?
Yeah, you just pick things up as you go. You know, you build your confidence, and as the team see that they can trust you to do the smaller jobs correctly, and you'll start out cleaning wheels, cleaning the corners of the car, getting the suspension clean, making, you know, because at the end of the day, a clean race car is
a happy race
car.
Yeah,
Clean race car is a happy race car. Is a safe race car, because when you're cleaning, you're checking.
Yep, makes sense.
It's the same with the bike, you know, in terms of keeping on top of keeping the bike clean. You know, you every time you go and clean your bike and you're looking at it in detail, you're checking all the components, you're checking for loose bolts.
Even if it's not consciously, it's still something that you're doing, isn't it? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, you know, you start out on those jobs, and then you'll work up to, you know, starting to pull dampers off and bits like that, and you know, and those will go for servicing, and you might change spring, or the more experienced guys might go and change the springs, and then you'll refit the dampers, and yeah, it just builds upon there, and then next thing you know, you're pulling out diffs or whatever, and it's just building upon that, and building a bigger picture of all the components of the car, and then you start being responsible for the safety side of things, and fitting the seats and the harnesses, and you know, there's obviously a lot of, you know, it has to be correct. You know, there's only one way to do it correctly. So it's a high degree of responsibility, but yeah, it's an awesome job. Yeah. It is an awesome job.
I can imagine something like that is an ever evolving job, shall we say? There's always going to be different aspects for you to learn on. Obviously, more responsibility for yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, it is constantly progressing. Yeah, definitely. And it is one of those industries where I do think you can largely pick it up again with just the right attitude. But as you say, it is ever evolving, and that's part of the fun of it. It's what makes it enjoyable. Is you're always learning, always asking the right questions, build relationships with the right people, and you can actually get really quite far with it. So,
and also I can imagine just working in the motorsport industry it must be so fascinating. You know, it must be such a fascinating thing to do.
Yeah. It's mega. It is a completely different world to anything else. Yeah, it's not like any other industry. In the way that it works, in the hours that you work, and the, you know, you have to be, it's a bit of it's a lifestyle, I think it's fair to say. But it is mega, and it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding when a weekend goes your way and you bring some silverware home, and your drivers are happy, team's happy. You know, it is.
I bet it's a proper buzz from everyone's behalf.
Yeah,
proper
100%.
morale booster if you do well, I should imagine.
Yeah.
I'm sure that can go the other way as well.
Well, that's the thing. The highs and lows of motorsport is definitely a real thing, because whether you're at the back of the grid or the front of the grid, you're still putting in, you know, a lot of work and equal work, regardless of the level you're at.
Yep.
But when things do go your way, it's mega.
I suppose before you got into that industry, you're a bit naive in the sense of motorsport, because you possibly didn't see everything that happens behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
Whereas now that you're fully sort of involved in it, you see every aspect, from getting the car ready, getting the car to track, to seeing the car buzzing around the track, or whatever it is you're doing. You're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you watch the racing on the telly, and you're like, oh, all that guy's doing is putting some wheels on. But then you think, well, bloody hell, that's a hell of a responsibility. And two, there's so much, like you're saying, Keeks, behind the scenes. Obviously, we've chatted about it quite a lot, Owen, but so much that goes on that you wouldn't even think of from an outsider's point of view.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many different aspects to it, and just all the pieces that have to come together to make it work. Especially when you look at like a GT team, where you've got a guy that just focuses on the tyres. You got multiple engineers, data engineers, that are working on one car, you know, to pull the data off and to look at the telemetry and what the sensors are saying. look at all of the data and feeding back then to the mechanics on the changes that need to be made. It is a real team effort at that level, and we've got 3 mechanics working on a car, so you've all got your dedicated jobs as well, and which I really love that side of it, because it is a real team effort. Like it all has to come together. For
everyone is a cog in a
exactly.
gearbox, essentially.
Exactly,
You're not going to get to 6th without going through 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, 100%. And and it all comes together, and on race day, again, you put all the pieces into motion, and when you look at doing a pit stop, it's like, it's a bit like poetry, it all has to, it just has to work, and you rehearse it to a point where it's just muscle memory.
Yeah.
And so it is mega. It is mega.
And although it's not directly linked to motorbikes, obviously you're not working on bikes, but you get to be around them quite a bit. Obviously you're always trackside. You were at Andalusia recently, weren't you? Where was it? The World Superbike boys were testing.
Yeah, there was a world's team or one of the satellite teams, and exactly.
That's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's awesome being involved in, seeing it from the inside is definitely different to, I remember being sort of trackside, when we'd go to the BSB rounds, we'd go to touring cars and stuff like that, and seeing it as an outsider, and it's interesting seeing it now, knowing how that feels, and it gives you an appreciation, I think, for just what it's very different seeing it and to actually knowing what that's like to, because I don't think you can deny it's a high pressure job.
Of course, yeah. So like we were saying, so much going on behind the scenes that you wouldn't even know about on the face of it.
High pressure but high reward.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So it's a cool job. It is definitely a cool job.
Yeah, very jealous of it, and like you say, you're getting, although it takes up a lot of your life, I think if you're passionate about it, it's a hell of a thing to be doing, isn't it? And if you can dedicate some time towards it, then definitely go for it.
Yeah, 100%.
So Keeks, what about you then, mate? What are you doing work-wise? Have you always done it? Is there any links to bikes? What are you doing?
Tell us a little bit. To bike in my work at all. So currently I'm a windscreen fitter. I've done it for about 9 years. Mm-hmm. Before that, I worked in an office. Used to love going into work, shirt and tie, and then I soon realised that I hate this and I want to be working with, my passion, which is anything automotive.
Yeah.
Windscreens don't often go into bikes, as you well
Not very often.
As you well know. So obviously that's why I'm working with cars a lot. But I love my job. It has its days, ups and downs, like any job. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I'd like to obviously pursue photography a bit more in the future, maybe. That's sort of where my biggest interest is, I'd say.
Yeah, and again, I suppose that leads you into a lot of different avenues, doesn't it? Like whether it's directly related to cars or whether it's into perhaps motorsport, like we were just saying with Owen, or there's so many different ways that you can go with photography in there. And all right, you're windscreen fitting by day, so you're still around your cars, but yeah, it's perhaps more towards your passion side of things, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm happy enough to admit I'm not the most mechanically minded bloke. There's many of my friends who I'll call on for assistance when in my time of need, I guess. But I can do basics. I can do my job very well. And I like to tinker. I do like to sort of, I might take something apart, might forget how it goes back together, but it'll always go back together. But yeah, I guess photography would be sort of what I'd want to do next if I was to leave the industry I'm in. Again, I'd probably say like Owen, I'd very much like to get into the motorsport world with that. Mm-hmm. So if there's anyone out there listening, Elusive Shots on Instagram, drop me a message. I want to work with motorsport teams, or just sort of any automotive things. Really.
Anything cool with wheels, basically. So.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, what about yourself? What are you currently doing, Jamie?
So I am a fabricator by trade. I've been doing it for 10 years now. I think it's been, yeah, 10 years, I think, which is quite a scary thought. I started off working for a company doing sort of general fab work, as well as my then boss, his passion was, and his hobby was old military vehicles.
Right.
So he was doing a lot of restoring of military vehicles, either for himself or for other people. That was a large part of his customer base, and sort of like half of the actual job role, I suppose, was that, which I ended up doing more and more in, as well as, general fab work, a bit of machining, a bit of this and a bit of that. I was doing that for a little while and then decided I wanted a bit of a change, and I was talking to a mate of ours and saying that, I've heard about this place called Bickers in Coddenham, and it's basically they work in the film industry doing camera tracking vehicles and stunts. And so I said to him, he goes, I know the boss, Paul. I know him really well. I'll put in a good, a good word for you. And I went for an interview and I managed to get in with them. So I've been fabricating for Bickers for the past 7 years now, I think it's been. Yeah, we do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, we build a fleet of camera tracking vehicles. So big American trucks for the most part, as well as we've got tracking motorbikes. We've got electric motorbikes, old Bandit 600, Bandit 1250s, all sorts of stuff basically with anything to take a camera. We've got little electric push bikes or tricycles, rickshaws, stuff like that. All sorts of vehicles, all to take the cameras. So we also do the stunt side of things, which is a lot of, we don't do the actual stunts ourselves, but we do a lot of prepping of the vehicles. So we put roll cages in cars for the stunt men and women to drive up ramps and flip themselves over and do this and that and the other. We put cannons in cars. We build bespoke rigs to do certain jobs. I've gone all over the country with it. I've gone across the world. I've worked for the Grand Tour. I've done big Marvel films, this, that, and the other, whether it's out on set with them or in the workshop. We've done a hell of a lot of stuff and some really cool bike stuff as well. We get bikes in quite a lot for A-frame rigs, which is where we basically put a different sort of spindle through the front wheel and we tow the bike along on the back of one of our tracking vehicles, and we got it on a banking rig so we can lean the bike over and the actors or whoever can sit on the bike, and even if they can't ride, they still sort of go along and pretend that they're riding.
I think I might need that to get rid of my chicken strips.
But yeah, so, around bikes a little bit. But just like you, I'm also quite into my photography side of things or video side of things a bit more, where you're more photo based. I quite like the video stuff. Been doing that for a few years, where I started off just doing videos for sort of the odd person who's got a nice modified car or whatever. I'm getting more and more into doing sort of my own stuff a little bit more. So just filming myself doing a bike build or going and doing a video with other people. Oh, and obviously you and I went up and saw Griff at AP Workshops a little while ago, and we filmed a video with him. A bit of a, not necessarily a how-to, but just like chatting over how we're going to prep our bikes ready for this season of riding. So yeah, just trying to branch out into that a little bit more. Obviously doing this podcast as well now. You never know where this is going to go, but it's just a passion sort of thing. Always been into cars, always been into bikes. Lucky enough that I get to work with both of them. But yeah, that's sort of where I am with it, really.
Am I right in saying that Bickers actually done a lot of stuff for the Fast and Furious franchises when they were filming at Brentwaters?
Yeah, we've some of that was before my time.
Right.
Fast 6, we had a lot of involvement in, basically all of the stunt work on that. So shooting escorts off bridges and stuff like that. Yeah, we've done a little bit more on the more recent ones. They're going and doing a lot more abroad recently on some of the later ones.
Yeah.
So we've not had quite as much involvement. But yeah, a lot on Fast, a lot on, like I say, Marvel stuff, DC stuff. We do a lot on the soaps, a lot of stunt work for them. So yeah, we do all sorts really. But yeah, it's very, very cool, very interesting stuff, and it's different every day, which I do really enjoy. I think that covers sort of a lot of who we are and what we do for work, at least, not necessarily who we are as people. But yeah, none of us are professionals in the bike industry. We're not racers, we're not journalists, we're not anything like that. We're just basically a bunch of idiots who all we do with our lives is talk about bikes in our spare time. That's all I think about for 90% of it, I think. And yeah, I think it's just nice to sort of say it out loud and have the chance for other people to listen. So it's quite nice. We've had, a few listens so far. It's quite nice to know that people are actually somewhat enjoying it, I think. So,
yeah, wondering a little bit about who we are.
Yeah, so yeah, be interesting to hopefully get some more some more guests on. Obviously, I've got quite a few links in the film industry, so could get some interesting people on from there. Obviously, Owen, yourself through motorsports. Keith, you got some really interesting people that you know as well. So yeah, we've definitely got some cool guests lined up. But we just thought there's a lot of racing podcasts, a lot of motorbike racing podcasts that are about. There's a lot of this and that and the other, but there's not that there's a gap in the market as such. But I think it's just quite nice, just three.
Just to get together and have a chat about
just
what
three
we
guys
enjoy,
that
really.
we don't really know what we're talking about, but we know how bikes make us feel and what we enjoy about them. So yeah, just putting that out to the world a little bit and hopefully relating to a few people and yeah, see what people think, I suppose.
Yeah, seems to be working somewhat so
Yeah,
far.
somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah,
I think that's
again,
Once we
I'll say.
can get through the introductions.
yeah, Christ, but I think
Get
every
our first few words out.
every single time we've tried so far to do an intro, one of us has fumbled in one way or another. So.
It's amazing how you just forget that you have this ability to speak fluently when you're
Yeah.
when you're doing the
Yeah,
introduction.
everything falls apart. But yeah, so no, that's us. That's what we do. I think we should have a bit of a chat today about. You guys have both been on a couple of trips abroad. You've done a fair bit more travelling than I have between the two of you. Keegs, you did a trip. Where did you go on a bit of an enduro trip, didn't you?
Yeah, so Bulgaria, I think it's called Enduromax, is the company out there. I've been sort of 3 or 4 times with a good group of lads, and basically you hire out enduro bikes over there. I think they use KTM 454 strokes, and they've got the little 300cc 2 strokes as well. And you pretty much just ride up in the mountains for a solid weekend and just do off-roading, and I would recommend anyone to do it. I think it's one of the best things that you can do with a group of people who are just into the same sort of thing, you know, and you don't necessarily have to be into motocross or off-road riding. When you're with your mates, you just automatically have a good time. Brilliant place to ride. Some very, very tricky sort of sections. You don't touch a road, basically.
Nice. Okay.
All the instructors over there, I say instructors, it's just 2 local guys from the village up who are just absolutely bonkers on a bike.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're over there, we've hired out these enduro bikes, and one of the instructor's brothers was going up literally a vertical hill on a motocross bike. And I'm just like, how is this even possible? They're just nuts. But it's such a thrill to just be on a bike and riding into the unknown as such. You don't really have a set route. You just, if you see somewhere and you think, I reckon I can get up that, you do it. You know,
Nice.
you bend it, you pay for it. Simple as that. Really good place to go. There's plenty of videos on sort of YouTube of, I think Marcus Grip, I think is his name. He's sort of done a 3 or 4 video episode of the Enduro Max Tour. So for anyone wanting to sort of see what was involved in that, it's well worth a watch on YouTube. Really cool place. Yeah, I don't really know how else to explain it other than the best weekend of your life you'll have on bikes, off-road.
Is it quite intense? Can you sort of, is there always options to go if you're not necessarily as experienced on a bike? Is there like an easier route almost that you can take? Is it for any sort of experience level?
So the way they sort of done it, the first time we went out especially, I had not really done any off-road riding. So I was in a mat, like, you know, crapping myself, so to speak, you know, because I'd never ridden off-road. I was with some very, very competent riders who, you know, they're quick boys on and off the road, you know. So I was kind of like, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep up. But you go and you do it, and they sort of split us up into a couple of groups. So I think the first year there was like 11 of us that went, 11 or 12 of us that went. So if you're not as confident as the other guys, you'll go in the sort of novice group as such, sort of the beginners, and you'll do some hard stuff, but there's always another route round. You know, if you don't think that I can't get up that hill, that's not a bit of me, or, you know, it's a bit too much of a challenge for me, there is another way round. But after that first year, you know, you want to try everything because you're there to sort of challenge yourself to a point. But there's absolutely no pressure from anyone to do anything you're not comfortable with. I've got some amazing clips of me nearly dying, basically. But, you know, it's all part and parcel of it. You're not under any pressure to do anything you don't feel comfortable with. You ride your own ride, and you just have fun, and that's what it's about. And I think that's why sort of we went back 3 or 4 times after, just because it's such a buzz, you know. And I don't think there's any better weekend than just you and your mates on motorbikes. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you're all just having a laugh, you know.
Yeah, Meg, it sounds like a bit of a video opportunity for the future, I think.
Yeah, I think let's
Like
do
a proper
it.
cool thing
Let's
to
do it.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, I've got very, very limited experience off the road, other than when it wasn't intentional. But yeah, you know, done a couple like sort of experience-y day sort of things.
Yep.
Doing stuff like that, but not a lot at all. But yeah, thoroughly enjoy it when I do. So it definitely sounds like
The good thing
laugh.
about Enduro Max as well is for any listeners out there that potentially haven't got your license yet, you do not have to have a license to ride with them.
Okay.
Because it's all off road.
Yeah.
It is all it is all off road, but sometimes you might touch one road to get to the next spot,
Yeah,
sort of
okay,
thing. But
yeah.
you're riding in a group. There's enough of you. It's not an issue. But yeah, you don't need a license. So the first sort of every time I'd done it prior to passing my test, obviously I didn't have a license. But I suppose it gave me a bit of confidence on the bike because I know off-road riding and road riding are two different things, but just learning a bike, you know,
it's all bike control at the
all
end of the day.
relevant experience.
So what about you, Owen? You've done a bit of a trip abroad as well, haven't you?
Yeah, done a bit of riding abroad. Myself and Dan, we mentioned before, we
Yes,
went over
we did,
to Tenerife and had a long weekend over there and just exploring the island. But the main reason for going over was to hire some bikes. So we did hire a couple of bikes. It was I'm trying to think what they were now. It was a Yamaha 600. I want to say it was a Phaser.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a Phaser.
Yep.
And it was a Honda 500 as well, I believe, that he had. We did sort of have a bit of a go on both. But yeah, really beautiful island. Absolutely beautiful, yeah. And I highly recommend it for anyone that enjoys travelling, enjoys riding bikes, why not combine the two? So yeah, Tenerife's a beautiful volcanic island for anyone that, you know, I'm sure everyone knows about it, but a lot of people probably haven't been, and yeah, highly recommend it. It's got mountains, forest areas, twisty roads. It's really, really nice, and the weather's a bit nicer than it is a lot of the time in the UK. It's, you know, it's really, really nice place to go and just explore a different culture and everything like that as well.
So a good way to get around the island and see things, because I mean, I don't know how much you've done over there as far as, I don't know, you know, bus tours or, you know, anything like that, but I suppose having that freedom of being on the bike, you can literally just pick and choose where you want to go. You don't have to rely on anyone else at all. It's just go and see what you want to see.
Exactly that, at your own pace. Yeah. I mean, there were plenty of, like I say, bus tours and stuff like that to, you know, drop you off to the volcano sort of scene points that you see. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm glad I'm on a bike. You know, and doing this at my own pace. So yeah, no, it's I'd say it's a good way to go and explore, to travel, to combine the two hobbies, because travelling's a big thing in my life as well. And yeah, 100% recommend just you know, booking a trip to anyone that's debating it to somewhere like a Spanish island or somewhere in Europe. And if you're comfortable riding in the UK, then you can pick it up riding abroad, you know, as long as you just mindful of the fact that road laws are different and possibly on the other side of the road. You know, so yeah, awesome trip that, and would really like to get away again and do some more traveling with bikes, possibly get over to Europe ourselves in the future.
Yeah, do you think have you got a preference as to which way you'd do things, whether I know you potentially have the option of going a little bit further afield if you fly out somewhere and rent a bike. Obviously, again, we said a little bit in the last episode, didn't we, that we've been to the Peak District. That's about as far as we've actually gone on bikes.
Yeah,
a lot of miles under our belts, but as far as actual long trips, that's about as extreme of a one as we've done. But you know, there's obviously a big difference in going out renting someone else's bike, a bike that you don't necessarily have much of a bond with. it might not have been maintained in the best ways. You know, a lot of these rental bikes are just very much as long as they're
However,
going.
rental bikes are always the quickest because
Well,
it's
yeah.
not yours.
That's very true. Yeah, yeah.
Very true.
But yeah, so that's two ways of doing things. You can either go out, fly out somewhere, or however you want to get out there, rent a bike out there, not really any commitments, or there's the side of things of actually riding out to the location. Again, we touched on it a little bit in the last episode that we plan to get over to Germany. A couple of times we've tried to plan it and it's fallen apart, but definitely something, a bit of a bucket list thing. I think Switzerland as well would be a proper cool one to try and get down to. Have you got a preference, you think, and which one you'd rather be doing at this stage, or is it just two different worlds completely?
Yeah, in terms of where to go and see next.
Yeah, just whether you'd rather take your own bike and go and do a long trip, or whether you'd rather fly out somewhere. And
it is nice knowing that your own bike is yours. You're used to it, and you know that it's kept to the standards that you know. For me, I work on my own bike, and so I know that bike's good. You can't say the same for some rental companies, but you've got to just look out for well reviewed ones, and at the end of the day, they're responsible for their customer safety. So chances are, as long as they're a reputable company, they're absolutely fine. I'd love to go and take my own bike out to Europe a little bit more, and having got used to that bike and enjoyed it in the UK, I think to get over to Europe would be really nice and sort of bond with it a little bit more like that.
It'd be a different riding experience in Europe because the roads are so much better. We found this when we drove to Poland last year. Obviously, me and a group of friends went to Poland, and just the roads are so much better over there. You haven't got to worry about a pothole coming out of a corner or anything like that. So I think if I was to go into Europe and do a bike trip, I'd love to take my own bike.
Yeah,
my back probably wouldn't agree with me because
not
a
on the
sports
ZX7
bike on that sort of distance. But I think for anyone that's got a motorbike to be in a foreign country riding your own bike, I think anyone would say that's the way to go over hiring one. Obviously, if you can.
I think very different levels of commitment as well. Like obviously, there's a lot of prep that goes into taking your own bike abroad. There's a lot of planning of the trip. There's a lot of making sure you've got all the right paperwork and you've got you've paid all the right tolls for the right places and all this sort of stuff. But equally, probably a lot more rewarding as well than going out and hiring someone else's bike. But equally, if you want something a little bit less pressure, perhaps flying out somewhere, renting a bike, knowing that if anything goes wrong, it's not really your problem. You don't have to worry about, have I got cover? Am I going to get recovered to get back home? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? It's probably a much less stressful way of doing things. But yeah, like I say, perhaps on the flip side, less rewarding.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, you've got your kind of bond with your own bike, and you takes a bit of time when you rent a bike to just get familiar with it, get comfortable with it, and at the end of the day, it's someone else's bike. But I think there is also a nice. There's some beauty in just being able to like pack your bags and ship your stuff over, and then just turn up and get on whatever they provide you, and not have to worry about the logistics of getting a bike over to Europe. Because as you say, like there's a lot to it.
Yeah, as we found out, like I say, that's half the reason why it's fallen apart a couple of times when we've tried to plan it. A hell of a lot of planning to go into it, especially when there's a group of you. But definitely something I still want to check off.
100%.
Check off the old bucket list. So we'll see where things go in the next year or so. Switzerland is definitely one I want to do.
Oh, yeah.
But a long old ride though, isn't it? So we'll see where we're at. See where each of us are at bike wise at the time. Keys, obviously we spoke about that a little bit when we were planning our Germany trip, didn't we? We sort of touched on it, and you said you'd rather get comfortable with your bike first, and
Yeah. I think that it would be very stupid to have passed my test and then say, right, now I'm going to Europe.
Straight off to Switzerland.
I'm not used to the bike in the UK. Why would I take it to a foreign country?
Yeah,
but
fair.
definitely, I think if you are taking your own machine, then you do need to be comfortable with it, because you potentially, like Owen said, you might be riding on the wrong side of the road, or the right side of the road over there, but it's the wrong side over here. So yeah, I think if I was to do it, which I will, it is definitely something on the bucket list. I'd definitely like to be more comfortable with the bike, 100%.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, like I say, definitely something I want to do. Whether that will be on the Tuono, obviously it's set up as a track bike at the moment. I was thinking earlier, actually, I was like, oh yeah, do I sell the road bits? Do I get rid of the high bars? There's no point me keeping them. And then I keep thinking in the back of my mind, oh, but one day I might want to put it back and go and do a long trip. Like, just like we said before, riding on the road in general doesn't really appeal to me, but the only thing that will make it sort of worth it and that I do really, really want to do is a longer trip. So I'm hanging on to them bits still, just in case the itch comes along in a year or so's time. And
I'd very much like to do. I'm not sure if you've done it, Owen, or if you've done anything, but the NC 500.
no, I haven't. It's again something that I've looked into a little bit before. Definitely something that's going to be fun. Seen a lot of YouTube videos on that sort of thing, and whether it's on a bike or even in a car, to be fair, I think I'd really enjoy doing it.
I think I'd like to do it on, say, do like a budget bike challenge where, you know, you all say put £1,000 aside and you've got to buy it for less than £1,000 and then go and do it. So you don't know if the bike's going to make it, but it's all part of the enjoyment, I suppose.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And being in the UK, it's not ever the end of the world if it does break down.
A little bit less risk again, than being abroad. So definitely the NC. I mean, and you've not taken your bike over, but you've been over to the Isle of Man a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, been over to the Isle of Man for the TT and the Manx, which is an awesome experience.
Yeah.
As a bike fan, like, just do it because it's so good. Like, it's just, the island just comes alive at, 2 times a year for those events, and it is just full of it's just full of bikers and racing, and it's just like the atmosphere of the place is.
And am
wild.
I right in thinking that you can ride the track once the racing's finished?
Yeah, well, so I mean, it's a public road,
Right.
so they close it off for the racing. So it is open, 365 days a year normally, and they do also. I think they might have stopped it in recent years. They did in previously they did a sort of a Mad Sunday thing, which was basically like a big parade around the course.
Right.
It's 37 3/4 miles, and all the guys that come over on bikes from wherever, Europe, the UK. I think some people come from other side of the world, Australia and stuff like that. And they go and do a parade lap. But so they close off the mountain, the mountain part of the course, which runs from Ramsey back into Douglas essentially, and they close that off, and that's a one-way road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's de-restricted, so the national speed limits over in the Isle of Man are fully de-restricted, meaning you can go as fast as you like as long as you're sensible.
Yeah.
So
It's the same as sort of the autobahns, I guess, in Germany. You can go as fast as you like, but if you have an accident, they will try and pin it on you for your speed, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just about being sensible and,
Ride your own ride.
Ride your own ride.
Yeah, stay within your limits.
Stay within your limits, and also look out for other people.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, people do go and drop their bikes, have accidents with cars, on the Isle of Man every year. Sometimes the racing's postponed because somebody, has had a bike accident or whatever, and they have to postpone the racing. But that's just the nature of that event. But yeah, 100% recommend anyone getting over there as a bike racing fan, as a bike fan. It's a really, really cool event, and a beautiful island as well. So I would like to get over there on the bike and at some point go and explore, because it's got a lot on offer in terms of its scenery and its history.
It's more than there's more to the Isle than just the race weekend.
Yeah.
Or the week. I suppose,
Yeah.
Weeks,
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot going for it. It's it's got a nightlife. It's got great restaurants and bars. It's a really cool place as a biker.
I
As somebody that
suppose,
loves the racing.
if you're into your bikes, you kind of only really know the Isle of Man for the TT. You don't think of anything else.
As soon as you hear Isle of Man,
outside
that's
of
what
that.
comes to your mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
But from my point of view, I love watching the racing. Any sort of racing, I like watching road racing on YouTube. Even when it's not on, I like watching. Like you said earlier, we go and watch the BSB quite a bit, and I like being around bikes. I don't follow it, I don't really know who's doing what, who's where, what points they got, who's in the lead, anything like that. I just like being around that sort of environment. I think the TT is still something that I've probably got to try and get down and witness at some point.
You have to, yeah.
Like you say, there's nothing else in the world like it, is there?
No, absolutely not. It's absolutely bonkers. The way that, you know, the proximity that spectators can have, and you know, you could put your hand out and touch these guys in some parts of the course. It's absolutely insane.
Well, you see the clips on the internet and stuff, and they're flying past at like, what, 160, 70 mile an hour, if not more in places, and you're like, wow, that's close. Like, that is close, you know.
Yeah, it is. And it feels close and it sounds close, but it is all part of the experience. It's so good.
I'd love to have a TT experienced person on the pod at some point. We've spoken before. Oh, and you and I don't know about you, Keeks, whether you've ever seen him on YouTube. A guy called Unrestricted Isle, I think his name is there, and he's sort of working his way up to that at the moment, isn't he? And got a hell of a rider, but a good YouTuber as well, and really, really interesting to see the behind the scenes sort of a thing of building your way up to an event like that and all the behind the scenes stuff, everything that actually goes on. It's a bit like what we were saying with you with your job earlier. There's so much that goes into it that you don't even think about in there. But yeah, having someone like that on as a guest at some point would be mega. I'd love to sit down and have a chat with someone like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting, the road racing side of things. Something that really interests me is how different that is to the short circuits approach that you have to have, because it's not, you know, you're not just looking at getting around. You're not actually necessarily looking at getting around as sort of as fast as possible. Well, I mean, you know, you're still trying to go the fastest, but it's you're approaching it from a different angle than short circuit riding. You know, they talk about riding at 80-90%, and you know, I don't know how, but it would be interesting to talk to somebody, you know, in that.
I've seen some onboard footage with various riders at the TT over the years, and if they're at 80-90%, crazy, crazy,
yeah.
But exactly. I suppose, you know, to a degree, you do have to reserve yourself a little bit, because
hold back a little bit.
You know, you can slide down the road just as quick as you can go around the corner.
Yeah, and they all want to win, but it's about knowing where you can push and where you go, no, I'm probably just going to hold back on that.
I'm really gutted. There's been a couple of opportunities now that I've missed out on meeting Guy Martin. Back when I was doing the military stuff that we were talking about earlier, I made all of the gun mantlets and the hand controls and everything for. He did a series where he built a World War I tank.
I've watched that.
Have you? Yeah. So I had a little bit of involvement in that, and my boss went to see him actually, and the whole time I was quite green at the time, and I thought, I don't want to push my luck with work. I don't want to ask him when I'm meant to be working, and he went off to see him and do a bit of filming with him, and I was sort of leading up to it. I was like, I might ask him if I can come along, and I didn't do it. I thought, I'm going to go and ask him. And as I walked out to go and ask him, I saw him driving away. So I had to go film, and I thought,
you missed 100% of the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I missed out on that one. Then my boss came back, and I said, how was it? Was it, you know, what was Guy Martin like? Oh, yeah, really nice bloke, you know, really down to earth and just proper interested in his engineering. Absolutely gutted. I wish I'd gone along. You know,
you can
big fan.
You can kind of gauge that about Guy Martin as a character, just watching any of the stuff he does. Like, you know, he is an all-out nutter, basically. There's no better way to say it. He is a nutter that just loves tea and going fast.
Yeah, I mean, he's proper into his engineering side of things.
That's
isn't he?
it, and I think that's why he's done very well. Not just because he is a cool guy, but because anything he turns his hand to, he's 100% invested in it.
Yeah,
you know, he wants to know every single little detail. I really enjoy watching his content.
Yeah,
really cool stuff.
When my boss came back, sort of, you know, said, how was it and everything? Yeah, really good. I wish I'd have come along. I was going to ask. He goes, you should have done. Yeah, I would have brought you along. I was like, God, I wish I'd have just said something.
Right.
And then we've also worked with him through Bickers, doing the Great Escape jump. Again, I don't know whether you've seen that one, but that was Andy Godbold, who I know quite well. He's a stunt coordinator now, and still does a bit of stunts in the film industry. A massive portfolio of jobs, but yeah, he did some bits as well as obviously my boss, and we built some bits for that show. And same thing, I missed out on the opportunity to go and meet him there, but I'm hoping that something else comes around and I'll be able to pick his brains a little bit. But yeah, you know, like I say, just anyone in that industry and in that world is going to be absolutely mega to talk to. So yeah, fingers crossed. You know, who knows? Maybe this podcast will take us over that way at some point. But
Yeah, can only hope. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Something I was going to ask you, talking about the track riding, and that's just smack my mic. Try and avoid that one. Talking about the track riding and that sort of stuff, I know that your track season started, Jamie.
Oh yeah, it has.
Tell us
I
about
had my
it.
first one, not this weekend just gone, but the one before. I was over at Castle Combe with the Classic Bike Track Days guys. Really, really good events as always. I did one with them at Mallory last year, which was my first one with them. Really, really chilled out compared to a normal track day. You get a few less sessions on track, but the groups are a lot more sort of focused on your bike and your speed, and you know, it's sort of like split up into like the really old stuff or the intermediates but above 600 group and below 600 group and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really cool events. I was over at Castle Combe. I was riding on the Friday and then filming on the Saturday, and I was lucky enough to sit down with a couple of the instructors as well, 3 of the instructors. Really, really nice guys. Did a bit of a podcast record with them, and hopefully we're going to do some more with them in the future as well. They've all shown a bit of an interest on coming back on, so that could be really good. But yeah, Castle Combe, actually going around the track, that was quite an experience actually. It's very different to Snetterton, which is our local that we've done, you know, quite a few times now. It's a really weird track, basically just one big right-hander, but with a couple of chicanes chucked into it. So some funny lines that you got to take, some things where you wouldn't necessarily expect you'd be placing your bike there to get into the next corner and stuff. But yeah, really good. I had a bit of instruction from one of the guys there as well, which helped out massively. The Aprilia performed amazingly, as it always does. Thanks to Griff for keeping it in pristine condition and pointing us in the right direction to run these bikes. But yeah, genuinely a really, really good event. Bike felt really good around the track. Oh, it didn't start actually on Friday morning, so I say it was really good.
Yeah.
I think that was my fault though. I got there on Thursday night and decided to camp there in my van and started it when I got it out the van. Yeah, all good. Make sure everything's perfect. Happy days. Parked up in the gazebo. Went to start it to go to noise testing the next morning, ready for a day of riding, and it I was like, oh god, what is going on here? Battery was flat, which these bikes really don't like, as you probably know, that they chew through sprag clutches.
Don't think many
and
bikes
stuff.
like a flat battery, to be fair.
No, very true. But the Aprilias especially chew through sprag clutches if the batteries aren't charged up, and they just don't like it. So I did manage to get it jump started, which wasn't ideal, but after that it was faultless. So yeah, my own stupid fault for, I think I left the battery plugged in for too long without having it on a trickle charger, to be fair. So yeah, can't blame anyone else for that, unfortunately. But other than that, suspension wise, it felt really good. Again, thanks to Griff for having a bit of a tweak.
You changed your handlebar setup.
Oh yeah,
you?
I have. Yeah, that was my first time with clip-ons as well. So where I had the upright bars, they're now, it feels like about a foot lower than they were. So yeah, a lot more aggressive, a lot more like your bike, and like the Millie. Yeah, interesting to be riding like that. It feels in the like the little chicanes and stuff that there are at Castle Combe, you feel like you've got maybe a little bit less leverage because obviously you haven't got the really wide bars. You can't sort of force it round quite so much. But in the faster sections of the track, it felt really good. It has tempted me into getting some track fairings as well. I think some Millie fairings. So where I've still got I've still got it in Tuono set up at the moment with just a nose cone and a belly pan and a seat unit. But I'm quite tempted to go full fairings. So yeah, keeping an eye out if anything comes up. I think you probably have priority of getting some track fairings over me at the moment if anything comes up, Owen.
Try and get that one sorted.
Yeah, because you're slacking behind a little bit with your Millie, aren't you?
I am slacking a little bit, yeah. Still does need a little bit of work, that bike, just to get it ready so I can start joining you. But
the whole idea of you getting the Millie.
Yeah, precisely. So yeah, if anyone knows anyone selling any pretty RSV Millie track fairings, then let me know. But yeah, that's the kind of next thing for that bike, and just to finish up that build so we can.
Because what else you got there? You haven't got a lot left, have you?
Not a huge amount. No. It's really finding a nice set of scrub tyres. Probably what we're gonna put on it. Perhaps cut slick super courses.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and just bleeding up the front and rear brake systems and possibly a new chain and sprocket. That's about it, other than some fairings. So
you need to pull your finger out and get it done.
Yeah, I do.
We've got hopefully a day coming up 18th of May at SNET. That's not with an organisation or anything. That's just a bit of a track day for a few of us going along. Adam Crossman, our good friend as well. Hopefully he'll be coming along. I keep pushing him into it. Yeah, I'll be there. So Adam, if you're listening, you better be there. I'm holding it to you. He doesn't know whether he'll be taking his R6 or the RSV4.
Oh,
I know.
RSV4,
I'm hoping he takes the R6 though, because
they're both such nice bikes.
they're gorgeous and they're
beautiful.
both pristine as well.
Yeah.
Is it a newer R6 or
It's
is
the
it
2008, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 13.
So 13S, yeah. Really, really tidy, but I really want him to take that because that way our bikes aren't a million miles off each other. And although he's far quicker than me, he gets worn out really quickly. So I'm hoping that once that wear starts to set in, I might be able to catch up to him or keep up to him for a couple of laps anyway. So have a bit of a battle with him like I did last time. That's when I put in my quickest lap actually around Snetterton, was chasing him down. Even though he was slowing down, he'd already done his fast laps for the day. He was slowing down and I was trying my hardest to chase him. So yeah, it'd be good to hopefully have a bit of a battle with him. We'll see. Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. Fingers crossed he takes the R6, but that pretty is a hell of a bike as well.
It is, yeah, and they both sound pretty sweet.
And yeah, we need to get you out with. I mean, you said you'd probably bring the MT anyway if you don't get the Millie sorted.
Yeah, I enjoy riding that bike on track, and it's set up for it. So yeah, even if I can't get the Aprilia sorted in time, I will join you guys just on the MT, and that's fine by me.
Yeah, like you say, it's still a perfectly capable bike,
Yeah.
and you've had some good fun on it. But I both want you and don't want you to get on the Millie. 'Cause I really want you to, because that's been the whole idea. I've pushed you into buying pretty much the same bike as me, so that we can be a bit more competitive and you know, you're not losing out on the straights. But equally, I'm really worried that you're going to be considerably quicker than me once you're on it. So we'll see how things go, I suppose, and yeah, hopefully you don't absolutely leave me for dead. But
Yeah, we won't get too ahead of ourselves yet. We'll see. We'll see how we go.
need to get it done first anyway. That's the priority.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Great. And then yeah, Keeks, hopefully we'll see you on track at some point as well. I know we touched on it in the last episode,
Yeah.
but yeah, it'd be good.
It's
So it's-
definitely on the list of things to do. I think, you know, getting on track would be, I think for any maybe new rider, I think, you know, you'll learn so much more about your bike and the abilities of the bike on the track than you can on the road, you know, because you can't ride a sports bike to its full potential on the road, no matter what anyone says. You know, there's no point having, like, you know, you see all these people with S1000 RRs and the R1Ms, brilliant for track. Absolutely. What's the point of having it on the road? You know,
anyone can open a throttle in a straight line, can't
Yeah,
they? But on a bike like that, by the time you're out of first gear, you're breaking every law. So
every
sort
speed
of-
limit. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, you can't ride a sports bike to its full potential off road, on the road. Sorry. So get on track and learn sort of the capabilities of what your bike can do. And I think, you know, that will give me a bit more confidence on the road as well.
Yeah, and you know, you say I think it's good for someone who's a little bit newer to their bike to be out on track. You're going to learn a lot, but bloody hell, every time I go out on track, I'm learning a hell of a lot. Whether it's about myself, about the bike, it's anything. It's constant state of improvement, isn't it? Being in an environment like that.
Yeah, 100%. You're always learning every time you go out. You know, if you can latch on behind a slightly quicker rider, then that's a really good way to
Adam.
name
Latch
no
on,
names.
latch on to Adam.
Yeah, exactly. And as we found out as well, a couple of days ago now, a couple of track days ago, it's worth getting an instructor and going around with, you know, a really experienced guy and getting some pointers, some feedback on your lines, on your braking. You can pick up seconds.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, you know, there was again at Mallory. I had Simon, who was on the podcast last week or week before. I had him as an instructor, and
Do you sorry to interrupt.
No, go on.
Do you usually pay extra for the tuition then, or because I know some track days, like is it MSV, which will include an instructor, or
As far as I'm aware, it's the no limit ones are included.
Yeah.
I think it might be the MSV ones that you pay a little bit extra for.
Right.
not a lot,
It's
is it?
but it's not
yeah,
a huge amount.
yeah. And same with the classic days. I think it's like a tenner or 20 quid or something. But it's well worth doing for what you're going to say. Not only is it going to potentially make you quicker, it's also going to make you safer. The reason I first got instruction with Simon was at Mallory. I can't remember any of the names of the corners now, but coming out of the last corner, long left-hander. He was saying I was too wide and getting on the throttle too early, and it was like the point of, if I'm going to have a high side, it will be there, sort of a thing. And so
good to know.
yeah, he sort of collared me while I came into the pits and told me that. And, you know, he said everywhere else fine, but he just said be a bit careful there. So I sort of thought, well, I might as well get him to give me some pointers around the whole track rather than just here. And for the sake of a tenner, you know, you follow them, you follow their lines, they show you where you're meant to be going and where the best place to position yourself is on the track and everything. And then they then follow you for a little bit. You come in, you have a bit of a debrief in the pits. And yeah, really, really helpful. Like I said, I had Simon at Mallory, and then I had Neil at Castle Combe. And yeah, I was completely off with the lines that, you know, with it being a bit of an odd circuit, you think, oh, you've got to be right over to the white line on the left before entering this corner. But they're like, no, actually, at this place, you're best off being a little bit closer to the middle of the track before you enter the corner, and this and that and the other. And just things that, without having someone tell it to you or following someone that's really quick around there, you're just sort of not going to work it out, or it's going to take you a long time. Like the amount that you can improve in the time by having someone that knows what they're doing show you around, yeah, well worth the money. Well worth the money. So yeah, we definitely advise that to someone that has the chance to do it. Whether you're a novice, intermediate, or anything beyond that, I don't know, past that stage. BSB, yeah, I'm sure they need someone to show them around the track. But yeah, you know, I think it's absolutely worth the money and really helpful for anyone that's in any position on the bike.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so hopefully we've got some cool stuff coming up anyway with the pod and with our track days and whatever and trips on the bike. You're still out far more than us, Keegan, on the road.
Yeah, we are slacking.
We are, yeah.
Slacking.
So
fair weather riders.
I know, terrible. Isn't it? But yeah, you know, like I say, hopefully have some cool people on the pod. Hopefully we'll have a few more stories and we'll be updating people as we go with how things are going for us, and we'll have a bit of a debrief after Snetterton as well, which would be quite good.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, I think that's a nice place to wrap it up, Owen. I know we're well beyond the time that we said that you were going to be leaving us today, so sorry for keeping you for so long.
Keep me from my dinner, boy.
I know. You best go and have your meat and two veg.
Yeah, quite like every night.
Yeah, like every night. But yeah, thank you very much, Owen and Keegan, again for being on. It's been wonderful the past couple of times that we've had you. So yeah, great.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Good talking again, and catch the next one.
Good to chat to you all. Remember, like, follow, and subscribe. I got there first.
Nice. Cheers, guys.